What is going on, everyone? My name is Tim Williams. We're here to break down tonight's 11-game MLB slate over on DraftKings. It is Tuesday, September 21st. We got some baseball to talk about here tonight. 11 glorious games to break down here. If you're new to the channel, what is going on? We're going to talk hitting, pitching. We're going to talk hitting stacks. I think there's a couple clear stacks that we can get to tonight. A lot of statistics in these slides. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a ton. Don't miss out on any future breakdown content here. And yeah, let's just get started. So first game to talk about here is the Orioles against the Phillies. No over under here just yet. We actually don't even have the official starting pitchers. As of last night, Ellis and Moore were kind of listed as the starting pitching. Not interested in either. More 18% strikeout rate, 11% walk rate, really struggling against right-handed batters. So as far as bats go on the Orioles side, I do like Mountcastle at 4.7K, 257 ISO against left-handed pitchers. If Moore is starting, Severino as well. I don't mind him as like a punt catcher type of play at 3.2. But however, we don't know if Moore is starting. So and then Harper on the other side for the Phillies. I think he's a nice, fine spend up here. But just in general, I think I might just fade this game regardless of who is pitching. I just think there's so much upside in these later games. So we'll get to those. Next, we have the Rangers taking on the Yankees. Yankees at home, 8.5 over under here. They are favorites. Dunning taking on Montgomery. Dunning at 7K. I just don't have a ton of interest here. Doesn't have a lot of upside. 22% strikeout rate here. Yes, the Yankees can strike out, but they have a ton of power. Dunning, I think he's been pitching fine this season, but as far as DFS purposes go, I just don't think he is the guy to get to, especially on a bigger slate. And then on the other side, Montgomery, 8.3K. I don't mind the price here at all. Love the matchup. 25% strikeout rate here for Montgomery, 33% fly ball rate. Really limits power to both sides of the plate, which is what we want to see here. I think Montgomery is a decent and fine spend up here. Rangers bats, I'm not interested in. And then on the other side with the Yankees, I don't mind Rizzo. I don't mind Gallo. I like the lefties against Dunning. Dunning's probably only going to make it about 4 or 5 innings here. But Rizzo and Gallo are both really cheap. Gallo, if you can stomach it, has a massive strikeout rate against right-handed pitching, 32.6% strikeout rate this season. But that comes with a 307 ISO against righties here. So really love to see that. Stanton, again, 4.2K. Disappointed me yesterday, but I do like to come right back to him. He was low owned yesterday. I expect him to be low owned today at 4.2K. So I don't mind a little 3-man stack here for the Yankees. Next game here. The Mets coming to Boston, 9.5 over under here. The Red Sox are favorited. Stroman taking on Rodriguez. Nice little pitching matchup here. Stroman at 9.2K feels a little bit expensive in a really, really tough matchup. 21.6% strikeout rate here. Really good at getting the ground balls here, near 53% on the season. Rodriguez on the other side, 8.6K. The price feels a little bit better, right? 26.7% strikeout rate here. However, 18.7% strikeout rate over the last 30 days. Really struggling against right-handed batters recently. So I think I'm off of Rodriguez. I think I'm off of Stroman because of price and matchup. But as far as bats go, it has a nice over under total here at 9.5. So Alonso, I think, is really cheap at 4.5K, hitting in Fenway, 370 ISO against left-handed pitching this season. Baez, 4.6. That feels a little cheap too. 295 ISO against left-handed pitching. Again, they are in Fenway, so those bats look pretty nice. And then to round out a 3-man stack, I don't mind Pilar here at all as a punt play, 2.9K. He's been hitting the ball against lefties a lot better as of late. And then on the other side, Red Sox kind of feel a little trappy, right? Stroman can go out there and pitch 6 innings. Maybe he only gets 2 strikeouts and maybe gives up 1 or 2 earned runs. But, Devers, Schwarber, Bogarts, all at 4.9K. That feels really cheap. I'd like to see where the ownership falls here. If they go low owned, I might take a shot on them in one lineup. Martinez is so cheap at 4.4K. Just the upside is always there with this lineup. The price is nice, but yeah, tough matchup here. Kike Hernandez is cheap. Renfroe is cheap. So I'd like to circle back to this near lock. Next, we have the Blue Jays taking on the Rays, 8 over under here. The Rays are favorited in this one. Manoah taking on Rasmussen. Manoah at 9.5K. It feels a little pricey. I'm slightly interested because the Rays have so much strikeout potential, but it's the Rays. This is a battle for first place. The playoff race, late September. Manoah, 25.6% strikeout rate here. He's a rookie, 8.7% walk rate, 36% fly ball rate. So he's not really a guy I want to attack. So I just on the stats alone, like I have a little bit of interest, but probably not going to get there unless I'm building multiple lineups. Rasmussen on the other side at 6.8K, 24% strikeout rate here. For DFS, I think it's just a little too pricey for how long he can go. He might go 5 innings, and he just doesn't really give up a ton of home runs. Probably you're going to see a 50 to 70 pitch count on him likely. So just in general, not a guy I want to attack. I'm kind of off the Blue Jays today because of price and matchup. And same thing with the Rays. I don't really want to attack Manoah. Phillips would be the one guy as like a punt play at 2.2K, 292 ISO, 376 WOBA against right-handed pitching. So he makes for an interesting punt value, but I'm probably just going to fade this game, honestly. Next, we have the Twins taking on the Cubs. 8 over under here. Cubs are favorited. Jack's taking on Mills. Jack 6.4K. Don't mind the matchup for him. 16.9% strikeout rate here. However, he does give up a ton of hard contact, 44.3% of the time. 49% fly ball rate. Really don't love to see that. So I think he's a big risky play here. 305 ISO to left-handed batters, 265 ISO to right-handed batters. So all around, he's just giving up a ton of contact, fly balls, power. On the other side with Mills, 6.2K, I just don't see a ton of upside from him. 17.4% strikeout rate, 52% ground ball rate here. So really kind of struggles against left-handed batters, 229 ISO there. So I'm really kind of only interested in Kepler here at 3.7K. I think he presents a decent value. Twins have some nice right-handed bats. You could go there. I am probably off today because of all the other options. And then on the Cubs side, like they don't really project all that well, but I really like Happ, Schwindel, and Contreras as a 3-man stack here. I think they're cheap. I think they're going to go low owned. Happ, 238 ISO against righties. Schwindel, 258 ISO against righties here. So I think there's some upside with those 3 bats there. Next, we have the Cardinals and the Brewers, 7.5 over under here. Brewers are favorited here at home. Woodford, it looks like he got scratched yesterday, will be starting today at 5.6K, taking on Woodruff at 10.4. Woodford, 247 ISO against left-handed batters, 104 ISO to right-handed batters. So he's actually been pitching pretty well against right-handed batters. The lefties he struggles with for sure. Woodruff on the other side, 10.4K, really nice spend up here. I don't really like to attack the Cardinals, but Woodruff has that major upside here, 30% strikeout rate here. Excellent job limiting fly balls here, 30% fly ball rate here. So I'm off the Cardinals. On the Brewers side, I'm probably going to stay away too. There's a low implied run total here. If Jackie Bradley Jr. makes the lineup 2K, I think that's a decent punt play, but honestly, I'm not going to get there. Vogelbach 2.7. I liked him yesterday. He didn't start. Wong 4.1. They just have a lot of random lefties in there. I know Yelich is in the lineup, but I just don't see the upside. I think Brewers have some good potential as one-offs, but I'm probably just going to fade this game. I don't mind Woodruff though, as far as pitching goes. So decent spend up there. Next game we have is the Dodgers taking on the Rockies in Coors Field, 11 over under here. Dodgers are favorited. Urias taking on Senzatella. Urias 9.9K, feels kind of pricey for a pitcher in Coors. I don't think it's a big deal. I think he's a good pitcher. However, I am a little hesitant to get there. I think he makes for like an interesting GPP play for sure. 27% strikeout rate, 34% ground ball rate, 50.7% fly ball rate over the last 30 days. So these are the stats for the last 30 days. The strikeout rate is pretty consistent for the whole season. And then on the other side, Senzatella, 7.5K, too expensive. Has been pitching fine. I think, people really want to pick on him a lot. I think he's been pitching okay, 16.5% strikeout rate. That's not great. I'm not saying go out and roster this guy. 52% ground ball rate. That is pretty excellent on the season. However, the last 30 days, he has been struggling to left-handed batters, 261 ISO to those lefties. I am interested a little bit here in the Dodgers. I think both sides here might have some ownership, definitely on the Dodgers side. Lux at 3K. If he cracks the lineup, that's just too cheap. So I like him here. Seager 4-6. I think that's fine. He's been struggling a little bit. Maybe he goes a little bit lower owned. Muncy at 5-8. That's priced just about right. He is a lefty that I like in this spot. Betts, he's projecting out really well, 6.4K. That is fairly pricey. He is in Coors, so he really has to hit it to make that price worth it. But I have a little bit of interest in the Dodgers. And then on the other side with the Rockies, same thing with the Red Sox. They're priced too cheap for where their hitting environment is. Crone 4K, Story at 4.7. Like, these guys have been hitting pretty well against lefties, especially at home. Hampson at 3K is ridiculously cheap. So in cash games, I think you could really load up on this game. Rogers at 4K might be sneaky under owned here. 392 ISO against left-handed pitching this season. He has been hitting really well after the All-Star break. Diaz, I think you can get a nice 5-man stack here. So I do have some interest in this game. It just depends on if you want to fade it or not. I think there's two routes you can go in these later games that make for interesting stacks that can kind of make you want to fade this game. So definitely some interest for sure. Next, we have the Astros and the Angels. The Astros away favorites here at 9 over under. This is one of the stacks we're going to talk about. Urquidy taking on Naughton. Urquidy 9K. I am off of him. That's a fairly high price tag. 22% strikeout rate here isn't just going to pay that off. 42% fly ball rate. The one thing that I'm worried about is he's giving up a decent amount of power to right-handed batters. And like we just said, he does give up a lot of fly balls here. Naughton on the other side, 5.3K. Yes, that's cheap. 14% strikeout rate here. 10.4% walk rate. I'm just not going to get there against any Astros. I'm not going to pick on the Astros. I love Astros as a stack. I like them as a mini stack, one-offs, whatever you want. Alvarez at 5K. Gurriel, I think he goes lower owned, 4.1K. That's just a really cheap price tag on him. He does hit lefties really, really well if Naughton is starting. Tucker 4.3. All these guys hit lefties so well. Bregman continues to be cheap, 4.2K. Myers 2.6, McCormick 2K. Those two guys I think can make you get different in your Astros stacks. So yes, Astros very much in play. On the other side with the Angels, I am off of them completely. Next, we have the Braves taking on the Diamondbacks, 9.5 over under here. Braves are favorited on the road. Again, another stack just like yesterday. Astros looked good. Braves looked good. Braves put up 11 runs yesterday. I think they do kind of a similar thing. Smiley taking on Weaver. Smiley at 7.5K. Is listed as a starting pitcher right now. They might call up Toussaint. He might be back off the IR, so we'll see. But Smiley, 21% strikeout rate here, 40% ground ball rate. Gives up a lot of hard contact. 7.5 seems a little pricey for him, so I'm going to stay away. Weaver on the other side, 7.8K. Don't love the matchup here. I am not going to pick on the Braves at all for the rest of the season. 21.5% strikeout rate here. Just gives up a ton of hard contact, 48% of the time. 301 icy to left-handed batters. So I don't like to see that. I actually want to pick on that. So Freeman, again, I think is a great spend up at first base, 5.4K. Duvall, I really liked Duvall and Rosario yesterday. Both paid off real well. Duvall 4.5K, so he sees a little uptick in salary, but I think he's well worth it here. He is on fire. Rosario at 2.9 is too cheap, so I like him here a lot. He put up 21 DraftKings points yesterday. Riley 4.4, Albies 5.1. I love all these guys. So Braves very much in play for me. It might help you get different. I hope this Coors game gets over owned, right? Because it would make the Astros and the Braves a little bit less owned here. So keep an eye on that if you can, if you have access to ownership projections. On the Diamondback side, as far as bats go, I'm just going to stay away. Regardless who's pitching, Smiley's not terrible. He's not a dumpster fire. Toussaint as well. So I'm off the Diamondbacks, at least as of now, as of this morning. Next, we have the Mariners and the A's. A's favorited here, 8 over under here. Gonzalez taking on Blackburn. Gonzalez 8.1K, 18% strikeout rate here. A big fly ball guy, 46% fly balls on the season. 276 ISO, 2 right-handed batters, so he's struggling against the righties a little bit. I am off of him. I don't like the matchup against the A's. The A's I don't really want to pick on. Blackburn at 5.7K. That is fairly cheap. However, the Mariners, they're playing for something. They're trying to get in the playoffs here. I don't think there's any upside playing Blackburn, especially if the Mariners are probably going to be low owned as far as the bats go. Blackburn just not a good pitcher either. Near 15% strikeout rate here, 50% ground ball rate, which is nice to see. 227 ISO, two righties though, so kind of struggles against the righties. He's actually been pretty decent in limiting power against lefties. So we're going to talk about a lefty here, Seager at 5K. And then a righty here, Haniger at 5.5K. I think they're interesting. It's a little too contrarian for me. They're definitely going to be low owned because of the salary. They're just so expensive. Like the rest of the Mariners are kind of priced up, and it just feels kind of gross to me. So I'm staying away from the Mariners. On the A side, Olsen at 5.2K. I really like the matchup here. He disappointed me yesterday, but he will be definitely low owned, 5.2K. 353 ISO against left-handed pitching. So I think he's in a good spot against the guy who just kind of struggles at giving up the fly ball here. So Chapman as well, 4.5K. I think he's an interesting contrarian take, but overall, I just might fade this game completely. There's just other great spots in this slate here. And then final game here, Giants taking on the Padres, no over under yet. Gausman taking on Musgrove. Gausman 10.1K. Kind of been struggling a little bit over the last 30 days, 206 ISO, two right-handed batters over 30 days. But in general, just has been excellent this season. It might be tough to pay off that price tag. Near 30% strikeout rate here. Does a good job limiting the fly ball. So I don't really want to pick on him. I don't know if I necessarily want to roster him either. Musgrove on the other side, 8.8K. I think the price is fine. I just don't love the matchup. 27.9% strikeout rate on the season for Musgrove. 226 ISO against left-handed batters over the last 30 days. And that could be key here in GPPs. So he's been struggling against the lefties. So let's look at the Giants. Statistically, especially over the last 30 days, they are pricey. Therefore, I think they're going to be lower owned and they could get overlooked here. The Giants have been excellent all season long. Belt at 5.6K. Yeah, that feels gross. And not really a good, ballpark either, but 464 ISO, Wade at 4.2K, 250 ISO, Crawford at 5.8. Yeah, that feels gross, but he's been hitting well against lefties, 241 ISO there. And then Yastrzemski, 4.4K, 259 ISO against, I just think they're in a good spot here. Musgrove really struggling. So those Giants I really like here. On the other side, Tatis 6.3K, 359 ISO versus right-handed pitching this season. You could probably get him at low ownership, but I just don't feel like I have the need to pay for him on this slate. That feels like a pretty lofty price. Cronenworth, I think, presents some value at 3.5K, but again, I'm not going to attack Gausman. The Giants have a really, really excellent bullpen here. So I like the Giants as a very, very sneaky stack. And then other than that, that'll do it. My name is Tim Williams. Thank you for watching. Really love making these videos. This is super fun. So best of luck to you tonight and your contest. Do me a favor, hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Don't miss out on any future DFS content. We got hockey coming up. We got basketball here. So just going to be a really nice, fun season. We got the NFL going on. So stay tuned and good luck tonight. Peace.